Sometimes the noise out there just feels endless, and the heavier stories seem to fill every corner of our day. This is 10 Better Minutes, a podcast that shares a few recent real stories, giving you a chance to notice a more balanced view of the world without ignoring the harder parts. Today, we will hear about kindness reaching out in unexpected moments, from a group of students lending steady hands to someone in need, to a simple act of care that helped a family find a small measure of peace. But first, let us begin with a story about a couple whose long generosity is being met with support just when they need it most. Stephen and Loretta Rodriguez had spent decades making a home feel safe for children who needed one. Now, at 85 and 79 years old, after more than 43 years of marriage, they found themselves facing an unexpected crisis. For years, they had cared for between 60 and 70 foster children, and they were used to giving support, not needing it themselves. When eviction put their own household at risk, it felt shocking, because they had never imagined the walls they worked to steady would turn against them. Then Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries, led by Dr. Chad Audi, stepped in with immediate practical compassion. They provided the Rodriguezes with a furnished, rent-free home for the next 2 years. This was not a vague promise. The help came with real pieces of everyday life, including bedrooms, new flooring, a washer and dryer, and a refrigerator stocked with groceries. The couple could breathe again, knowing they would have stability while they regrouped. One of the most moving parts is that Stephen and Loretta had once fostered Shauna Risby, who now lives in California. Hearing the news that her grandparents would have a safe place to stay, Shauna was moved because she understood what it meant to be protected and what it means to see kindness come back around. In a quiet way, this story reminds us to trust in people, that when someone gives love for a lifetime, community can return that same care. In Seattle's University District, a simple act of noticing something overlooked turned into a quiet promise kept. It is a story about a community choosing to care and about trust that keeps showing up in real life. It starts with a homeless man named Chris finding a dumped bag of memorial items, including a beloved late Chihuahua's ashes, ceramic paw prints, and a stuffed animal. He did not treat it like litter to pass by. He kept the bag safe until he spotted flyers that matched the details from that car break-in, and he realized those items belonged to Holly and Brandon Dunn. So he reached out and returned what he could, carrying back something irreplaceable to people who were missing it. From there, the kindness kept traveling. A GoFundMe organized by Catherine Mischie began supporting Chris with practical needs like rent, furniture, and care for his rescued dog, Rio. In just a few days, the fundraiser raised more than $5,600 toward a $7,000 goal. By May 6th, Chris had a little more hope in his hands, with about $1,000 still needed to finish the plan. What moves me is how belonging can show up. One person pays attention and suddenly the path forward gets wider for everyone involved. There is something quietly powerful about training that turns into action, especially when the trail suddenly demands more from you than just good footsteps. On day 3 of a 4-day hike in Warrumbungle National Park, students from Presbyterian Ladies College in Armadale found hiker Thomas Wendland with a broken leg. After their leaders briefed them, they put their preparation to work. They built a makeshift gurney from tarp poles and a hammock, then coordinated the hard part, moving together without losing control of the load. 11th grader Stephanie Blake described the rhythm like a practice drill you can actually feel in your body. Count to 3 to hoist, carry for about 60 seconds, rest, rotate sides, and repeat. Over time, their teamwork stretched along the trail as a steady sequence, not a scramble. They kept going for about 2 hours until medical teams could finally reach Wendland. And when help arrived, his words carried the same theme the students had already proven with their hands. Wendland said he was forever grateful, that their assistance meant the world. It is a reminder that trust in people is not an abstract idea. Sometimes it looks like tarps, poles, careful timing, and a group willing to show up for one another right there in the middle of the outdoors. On Sir David Attenborough's 100th birthday, his voice returns to us with the same steady wonder and the same clear request. Can you feel that shift from awe to responsibility? In a collection of 15 of his best quotes, the message is wonderfully simple. He reminds us that the truth is the natural world is changing, and that we all have a role in defending and recovering it. Attenborough talks about how easy it is to waste, and how much better it is to use what we have wisely, because waste steals from the living world we depend on. He points us toward the fundamentals, the food, the water, and the air, and he connects them to care for nature itself. He also speaks with a hopeful realism. He has witnessed a terrible decline, yet he believes there can be a wonderful recovery. That hope is not a vague wish. It is a call for working together across society, guided by love for nature and backed by action that is social, economic, and political as well as personal. Even one small idea lands, bringing nature into the classroom so young people can learn responsibility through direct contact with the living world. As I listen, I feel steadier than I expected to, not because everything is solved, but because Attenborough's words make the next step feel shared, practical, and possible. On a cold, rainy day in Seattle, it is easy to feel like help is happening somewhere, just not right where you need it. This story follows a simple idea for making community pantries easier to find and easier to stock well. On the maps in PantryMap.org, you can see micropantries across the Puget Sound region, including the one in Beacon Hill. People can share what they have, report stock levels, and even post photos and notes so neighbors are not guessing in the dark. If you need something specific, you can add a request to a wish list and others can respond with something practical. To make the whole system less guesswork and more real-time, University of Washington researchers retrofitted 4 micro-pantries around Seattle with door-open and closed sensors, digital scales, microcomputers, and Wi-Fi antennae. The sensors auto-report usage and stock levels anonymously, so the community gets better coordination, and researchers get a clearer picture of how these little fridges work in everyday life. One moment that stands out is a sleeting March refit at a pantry owned by St. Paul's Episcopal Church near Seattle Center. The rector, Stephen Crippen, described it as a way to turn good intentions into better information. It is a reassuring kind of trust, the kind that says neighbors will show up and people can learn from what is happening right now. And if this pilot ends in October, the hope is that what they learn helps more pantries share more wisely, with less waste and more heart. As always, I have a gentle tip for you, designed to help your mind reset and to notice more of what is working in your day. When everything feels heavy, it is easy to run the same mental loop. What went wrong, what you should have done, what you missed. Today's tip is about switching the focus, even if only for a moment. Ask what went right, not only what went wrong. Try this the next time you replay a conversation or review a mistake. Instead of starting with the quickest judgment, pause and ask, what part of this went okay? Maybe you handled your tone better than you thought. Maybe you spoke up at all. Maybe you stayed calm for 30 seconds longer than usual. Maybe you noticed something important in real time. You are not denying the challenge. You are adding balance. When you look for evidence of progress, your brain stops treating the day like a verdict and starts treating it like information. So take a slow breath, and when your mind wants to spiral, redirect it. What went right here? Answer honestly, even with something small. That small answer can become the foothold that brings you back to yourself and back to hope. Well, we are at the end of today's episode, and I just want to say thanks for hanging with me through it. If today felt like a little pressure relief, that is the point. There is still quiet decency moving through everyday life, people helping where they can, and communities choosing kindness even when everything else feels loud. I hope these 10 better minutes gave you something steady to carry with you. If you want a few more fresh reminders like this, you can follow or subscribe to 10 Better Minutes with new episodes every day, so you have something good to return to. This is Ian Rhodes with 10 Better Minutes. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow.